All right, welcome to our next installment of our Improving Online CTE Pathways Speaker Series. My name is Bob Nash. I'm the Dean of Academic Affairs with CVC-OEI, and I will help facilitate today. For those of you who don't know, our IOP grant program, Improving Online Pathways Grant Program, has supplied 70 grants to 68 colleges for a total of $27.5 million awarded. This since the start of July 2019. This funding came from the state of California through the state legislature by way of our California Community College Chancellor's Office for the purpose of two general goals: creating online programs in CTE areas toward either short-term industry valued certificates or programs and/or enabling pathways from our online college Calbright to one of the other 115 colleges in California, community colleges. Today, we are under the theme of social media, digital media, and design. So we have three colleges, Ventura, Diablo Valley, and Rio Hondo, who will present today. They'll each have 5 to 7 minutes to present, which should allow us some time for chat and questions. And if you would put them in the chat window, your questions, we will hold them till the end and ask our presenters at that time. So feel free to type them in chat at any moment. All right, I will now hand it off to Nick Norris from Ventura College. Nick, unmute yourself and get started.
Thanks, Bob. Nice to be here with you all. Appreciate it. I put together just a few slides here, but with the help of our district office, we put together a video, which is a few minutes long, and I think it tells a lot of the story of what it is we worked on and were able to accomplish. So if it's okay, let's play this video, and then I've got a slide or two after this just to, highlight some more things and nail things home. But I believe, Donna, you're managing this. My name is Nick Norris. I'm a business instructor here at Ventura College. Social media marketing is meant to give students the tools needed to work in and compete for jobs in a digital marketing environment.
Social media is important today because it's in our everyday lives.
It's important that the students understand that social media marketing is a business function that has real business objectives. There's real fiscal, monetary return on investment that marketers need to keep in mind.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Kalsbeck-Getz, Vice President of Academic Affairs at Ventura College, and I'm just really excited to share with you our new certificate in social media and marketing.
With this grant, our goals for the program were to replace textbooks that cost with zero textbook cost resources, give the students not only academic learning, but actual hands-on experience. For example, record a podcast using Anchor.fm, or to create a branded Spotify playlist, or to create a Facebook advertising campaign, not just read about it and talk about it and study it, but to actually do it. Another objective was to give students the experience needed to work in the industry remotely using technology. And I feel like we've accomplished those goals. From a technology standpoint, things happen really fast. So a textbook that was written 4 years ago, for example, doesn't take into account a little thing called TikTok. Maybe you've heard of it. So we were able to kind of replicate the textbook experience with a series of podcasts about specific topics within the major topic of social media marketing, influencer marketing, leveraging content marketing from a social media marketing standpoint. Same thing with community management. And so far, it's been a huge success. We include closed captioning, so they are accessible. And the students seem to have a really, really good reaction to that material.
It's been very beneficial, actually. When I started the program, I had recently started working at a nonprofit and really wanted to learn more about social media marketing and specifically on the marketing strategies and ways that social media can help with.
This is an industry of constant change. And it is our jobs to embrace the change in platforms, in technologies, in trends, in how Google algorithms change every year, in how Facebook's, company platforms restrictions change every year. We need to adapt to the times and to the changes.
I did all my classes online for the most part. And that helped a lot because, like I mentioned, I was working. And so it was nice to have the ability to do a class online and not have to commute so much.
And we have to imagine that some of these trends that have happened as a result of the pandemic will be ongoing, meaning that companies will continue to want their staff to work remotely. And so we're actually giving students the skills needed in order to compete in the workplace now because they're prepared. They can do learning remotely, they can work in groups remotely, they can work on projects and submit assignments remotely. All of the same activities and behaviors that an employer would be looking for, our students, when they go through this class, when they go through this program, will have the abilities to accomplish what the employers are looking for. So without the additional hours and resources available from this grant, I would not have been able to dedicate the dozens, if not hundreds of hours that went into building this class and program online.
Another really cool thing about this program is that the courses are CVC-OEI aligned, which means that they are aligned to the highest standard of rubrics that support regular and effective or regular and substantive interaction, as well as other really important things, including ADA compliance and accessibility.
It's been a great experience. I've learned about different career pathways that I can take.
We are training a workforce to have good paying middle income jobs. And we're pretty darn proud of that.
Got to unmute yourself there, Nick.
Thanks for the reminder. Okay, go back one more slide. So relevance to the students, in addition to studying academic topics from the course outline and record, is critical for students to get experience using social media marketing tools. So assignments were created to give students a chance to practice popular tactics and strategies. It's just so you all know, I started a small marketing agency like 12 years ago, 13 years ago, and everything that I had done professionally, got paid for, and bought a house with, I bring that into the classroom. And so the students are getting really, really hands-on experience that they can take to their jobs, to potential jobs, and so on. If you go to the next one, that'll be helpful. So we really focus on the tactics and strategies that students can practice in the real world. And then again, so the textbooks just weren't working out for me. So luckily with my contacts through my alumni network and previous clients and partners that I've worked with in the past, I was able to record a series of podcasts focusing on different strategies within digital marketing or social media marketing. This woman that I'm speaking to right here is an influencer marketing specialist at Dunkin' Enterprises, which is a global cosmetics brand. And she explained to us everything that she does on a day-to-day basis to build connections and further her brand's efforts. And so those were the lessons that I recorded while creating this class. And I think that's it. If we go to the last slide, questions. And I saw a few coming in the chat, but I didn't get a chance to read them while I was talking. So
yeah, that's okay, Nick. We'll get to those at the end. Just type in your questions, everyone, and we'll definitely move on and save all the cues till the end. Right now, we'll move on to Diablo Valley College. Anne and Joanne, please take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ann Kingsley. I'm the kind of project coordinator as well as the distance ed coordinator at Diablo Valley College. And I'm here with my colleague, Joanne Denning, who we've been working together on creating some online art digital media certificates. So we're going to talk a little bit about our process for that today.
Hi, I'm Joanne Denning, and Anne has been wonderful to work with, and she approached us when DVC became involved in the Online Pathways Grant. And we really knew at that time that we had to develop and build our online offerings. We had currently been offering 2 or 3 courses online regularly. One was the Intro to Graphic Design, and the other class was the Intro to Web class. But we really didn't have a lot of curriculum for students to take online. Part of that was we were kind of overwhelmed with just being a career education program, trying to develop coursework. And so what the grant allowed us to do is really get trained and to train our faculty and to learn about the best practices of online education. So it was very timely. And we really wanted to be able to offer online courses because we felt that many of our students were working and couldn't come to campus regularly. And we also wanted to be able to offer more courses. We currently have 3 labs, but we have a big program in art digital media at Diablo Valley College. We have animation, gaming, we have web, we have UX, UI, graphic design, and video. And we have certificates in almost all those areas. So we really needed to just be able to offer more courses to students. And then lastly, we wanted the opportunity to develop more advanced coursework that was going to meet the needs of industry-driven needs at the time. So we took this opportunity to, well, why don't we, yeah, I think that's it. We took this opportunity to build an articulation agreement with Mission College, which is down in Santa Clara. And so we've been in collaboration with them, really mapping our classes to see if we would be able to potentially let our students take some of the coursework down there and some of their students take coursework up at DVC, so that if we were going to offer, for example, an intermediate web class, we would know that we would be able to fill it regionally. And we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so our project goals were to create certificates of achievement in online mode, and we had a lot of curriculum we needed to train into online coursework, and we really build some articulation agreements with other colleges so that we could offer some advanced curriculum. And then do you want to talk about challenges, Anne?
Yeah, so a couple of the challenges was there were some classes where the instructors had never taught online before. We've never offered it online. For example, we have an Art 105, which is like an intro to drawing. And it's just a wonderful class, but is at heart and soul has always been taught in person. So we had to figure out how to translate that kind of heart and soul to the online. With training, video, and things like that. The other course is we had a intro to digital imaging where it had not been taught online, and the challenge for that course online was figuring out how to get the expensive software products into people's hands rather than from a lab, rather than where they would usually use it on campus, which was a lab. And because of that, those questions, we figured out a lot of workarounds, but because of the questions of software, we got those instructors involved in technology meetings and technology committees. So I think those were some of the challenges that were, in a good way, brought everyone together. And then I know Joanne's going to mention a little bit about the articulation agreements.
Yeah, so what we did is, or what we're continuing to do is we mapped our courses with courses that were offered at Mission College, and a lot of the coursework was already there, and then Mission College is going to develop a few classes, and so that's been great, and we've had that opportunity to really work with them to see if we could map this curriculum. And then, like Anne said, the training of the instructors was really critical and very timely, because as we kind of went into pandemic mode, I kind of think it saved us. We had, I had been trained, another full-time instructor, Kevin Leeper, had been trained, and we have 4 full-time instructors in our program, and 3 of us had gone through the training and were already able to offer quality online courses when the pandemic hit. So that really helped us sort of dive in and immediately start working with our adjuncts, because in our program we have 4 full-time, 1 hybrid full-time, and then 8 part-time faculty most teaching 2 classes, and none of them had taught online before. And so all of them kind of at that point were starting to think about training because of the OEI grant, and we were able to sort of jump in the summer.
And I think what we'll do is we'll just skip ahead of the timeline so we can pass this through. I'm sure these will be shared. And I think we've mentioned some of the project successes, but I'll just mention too that some of our courses have gone through the OEI alignment, and those courses, again, we use all the time within this program, but also to teach out to the whole college on how to do this kind of work. So really these 2 certificates have kind of spearheaded a bigger movement of quality online instruction. So do you want to just walk through the certificates, Joanne?
Sure, if you could go back. Yes, so we decided because I had been teaching online and the web instructor Troy Bennett had been teaching online, that we would start with these 2 certificates. The first was graphic design, and that's where Anne talked about the challenges with the Art 105 drawing instructor, who really had technologically didn't ever imagine herself that she would be teaching online, but she really embraced it and went through the training, and I think developed an amazing online intro to drawing class. And then we had other courses that we needed to develop and offer online, like the digital illustration, and then the digital media projects class, which was a difficult class because it's actually sort of like a business. Students come from all areas of digital media, graphic design, web, animation, video, and they build client-driven projects in there. And before we had offered it in person, but we were finding more and more of a need to offer it online to make it accessible to students. And we were able to really build that class. And now we meet online, the students collaborate online. So I think in addition to really building our curriculum, what the training gave us was a lot of new technology to work with that we've sort of transitioned into building better advisory committees with, into having our department meetings and being able to collaborate a lot more effectively.
Thank you, Joanne. That's an interesting program, and I see a question we'll get around to in a moment. But we'll get to our last presentation, which is a video. We can't show the entire video to you from Rio Hondo, but we'll share the link so you can finish it on your own time. It's about 15 minutes long, so you'll see about the first half. Is that right, Donna? And do you have that now? There we go.
I'm Associate Professor of Graphic Design at Rio Hondo College and the full-time faculty here. And I'd like to speak to you about the CVC-OEI project. Hi, folks. So what I wanted to do is go over exactly how excited we were to be able to participate in this project. It really created a great opportunity for us to grow our program, but also to reach students that might normally not be able to make it to our on-campus classes. So a little bit about our area. Our program, the graphic design program, completely replaced a commercial art program at Rio Hondo College. In 2015, we started to revamp and sort of gut what was an old commercial art program that had 4 classes and a small local Associate of Arts degree. We are now over 14 courses, including non-credit courses. We have 2 associate degrees, one AA and one AS. The AS targeting graphic design majors and the AA targeting artists who want to add graphic design skills. And we also have 7 certificates of achievement. We have an entrepreneurial graphic design certificate, which we're really proud we just introduced last fall. And we have a variety of 12 unit to 18 unit certificates, which are all stacked, enabling students to easier move through the program. It helps increase retention and, of course, student success. Our area, the majority of our population is Latinx. I believe our percentage is up to 89% of our campus. And we primarily have an underserved community of learners who for the most part, the majority of them have never even considered going into creative professions in terms of a viable option. And we understand a lot of this comes from families who are unfamiliar or who are reticent about the creative professions. Is my son/daughter child going to be in my basement for the rest of their life? But what we wanted to do when we redesigned the program was to make people aware that there is a huge industry in LA and Orange County that's growing by 10% in the LA and Orange County area in terms of employment opportunities over the next 10 years. And we're really excited to be able to bring the type of quality education to our community, but also to reach beyond it and perhaps really the entire state. So our program, again, graphic design, for those of you who might not be completely familiar with it, a lot of people think, oh, what do? They design business cards. Well, we do that, and we do a lot of other things too. It's estimated that every day when you wake up to when you go to sleep, if you are in a Western industrialized country, you see an average of 500 to 800 visual images every day. And we're talking about the typefaces on your freeway signs, the labels on your shoes, the boxes that you're eating your breakfast cereal from, everything around us that generally tries to communicate information, whether it's entertainment or viable environmental information, directions, etc. That's graphic design. And what makes graphic design unique as a foundational program is that over 30 job occupations, and really to be that's sort of conservative, over 50 of them are really looking at graphic design as a foundational set of skill sets that people can use to apply to other professions. Plus, graphic design is used as a very viable asset to people who aren't creative professionals, that if it appears on your resume that you have graphic design skills, that can really increase your value in terms of employment as well. So what we've really tried to do by porting our program and making it offered through distance education as well as on campus is to not only expand our reach to our local district students, and these are students who have transportation issues, childcare issues, people who work during the day when our traditional classes are taught, people who might not physically be able to come to campus. There's all kinds of variety of students who we feel we aren't reaching with a traditional on-campus course offering that now we'll be able to reach through our distance education offerings as well. We also had a limitation just in terms of our own physical growth here on our campus because of the unavailability of physical buildings to expand into, et cetera. And now this gives us the ability to actually grow our program and add more content as our program grows as well. We also want to reach out to non-traditional students, incarcerated students, anybody who we can sort of reach that couldn't make it to a traditional campus. So this is really who we feel that we're reaching the most. Our project goals were really to increase student outreach inside and outside the district, to increase our course sections and of course our enrollment, and to also increase student success in terms of skills, vocational application, and transfer. And that last three triad of sort of pathways, if you will, is really what an online presence through distance education really empowers us to do. So we figure our market, our target market, or our target student is really threefold. It's the student who wants to add graphic design skills to their repertoire, whether they're in nursing, wildland fire, law, philosophy, or whatever their major is. Graphic design skills are an asset to anybody. So again, this is what we talked about when I first started talking about the program, is that if you show that you've got a certificate in, let's say, branding and identity design that we offer, then they're going to be able to go to you, whoever hires you, and go, hey, do you think you could help us figure out this logo or trademark that we're working on, or help us work with a design studio or something like that. Or people who are just curious, lifelong learners who want to add those skill sets. The second pathway we really look at are people that want to go into business for themselves. So in our area, we have a lot of entrepreneurial students who sell t-shirts at swap meets, who are selling on Etsy and eBay, and doing things on their own out of the sort of trunks of their cars and portable screen printing machines and things of that nature, who aren't as interested in transferring to a four-year college, but want a more foundational sort of base of skill.
Okay, our 7 minutes are up, but we will share that the link to that video that you can finish. And Grant, if you have a link handy, you can share that in chat, and everyone can get it there. So let's go back to some of these questions, and they may have been answered already. But Lynn asks for students to create a podcast off campus. This is for the first program. To create podcasts, if you require that of students, did you loan out microphones or any other technology for them to do that, Nick?
We didn't, and in all honesty, I don't think that's necessary. It's nice to have a microphone like the blue snowball, but you know, most computer mics and phone mics work. The Anchor.fm app goes on the phone, and you can record directly into it like you were talking on the phone. So it was not necessary. We did not have anybody ask. So
okay. Question for all of you, any can step in. What strategies have been developed to respond to individual learning styles to further individualizing instruction? Did any of you address that in a specific way? Grant, from Rio Hondo.
Yeah, one of the things that we did at Rio Hondo, let me preface this by saying, I'm here in place of our faculty member who is the point person on this graphic design project. I'm the Dean of Arts and Cultural Programs, and I'm also the Dean of Distance Ed. So we talk a lot about individualized instruction, especially in the arts areas. And one of the things that we've learned is that, through, a century of teaching art at the college and university level, we really are offering individualized tracking and instruction to students in large art, music, theater classrooms all the time. So one of the things that we tried to bring into this grant program is the knowledge from a lot of our instructors who are used to having multiple ability levels, multiple levels of training, or multiple different approaches to learning. So what we did was the folks that came into this grant from the various CTE programs, we tried to set them up with a point person in the arts if they wanted to communicate directly about how they could reach these multi-level or as you say, multi-learning styles in one specific classroom. It yielded some pretty interesting results too. We're not ready to really talk about it publicly, but I think we'll have more information in probably a year. We're working on some papers.
Okay. Grant, while we have you, your instructor mentioned serving incarcerated students. Can that be done online, and how so?
That's a really great question. No, it can't be. I think Alec really is after recently incarcerated students. The work that we've done in our area is with students that have come out and are now in the general population. We have a really, really large group of students on our campus that are doing that kind of work. Students that are inside, they don't have internet access. They can't use a computer. A lot of them are specifically forbidden from using a computer. So, I think the real thrust here is trying to reach students who are, recently formerly incarcerated.
Okay, thank you for that. Maybe one last question, and this is actually an interest I have in Diablo Valley's program, aligning with Mission, maybe collaborating with them. Could this be a joint degree program? Because it is very intriguing. You could offer a course in fall, they would offer it in spring, and if you have trouble filling your classes between you, you could help each other that way. Is that the idea?
Yes, that is the idea. And what we're really trying to make it so that we're actually sharing an advisory board as well. So we have a pretty robust board right now that meets every spring with like 10 industry professionals that have been giving us guidance. And we're hoping to make this a regional collaboration. It isn't currently, it's just faculty working together, and we do kind of get support from management a little bit, but we would really like to build fully online degrees that weren't college specific. That would be the goal, so that the workload is not on any one college, and we really can look at what our program strengths are what we can't offer, and make it available to students. So that is the goal. We're kind of in the initial stages of it, and Michigan College has a very robust digital media program like we do. So they're kind of a good partner, but we would really love to expand it.
Very good. Thank you, Joanne. Henry is asked to make a closing comment. We have 30 seconds. Henry, take it away. You have to unmute yourself. Where are you? Can you unmute? There you go.
Yes, there we go. I would like this group to know you've been joined by a legend in the field, Bernie Luskin, who created telecourses, online courses, all kinds of stuff going forward. So you're in a great audience. And I want to express my appreciation to you because I served on the launch team and helped write the original grant for this thing. And I am absolutely overwhelmed by what you folks are doing and how you're moving forward. I'm getting goosebumps right now as I'm talking about this, but congratulations, keep it going. Bernie and I are just absolutely overwhelmed with what you guys are doing out there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Henry. Very kind of you to say, and it's great to see you, Bernie, as always. All right, I want to thank all our presenters and our guests today. This will be recorded for later viewing, and stay tuned. We have several of these speaker series webinars coming up, so you can find those on our website and register for them there. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you next time.